All right, get ready, because today we're diving deep into something I think we can all relate to. Fast food. It's everywhere in America.
Yeah, it really is
We're
everywhere.
going to find out why.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun. So we found this podcast episode. It's called Fast Food Culture in America. Why is it so popular? It's from this podcast, Fluent English Vibes.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'm ready to dig in.
me too. And it's really interesting, right? Like, how did fast food become such a big thing here? Is it just that it's easy and cheap? Or is there more to it?
I think there's definitely more to it. I mean, it's not just about grabbing a quick bite. There's a lot of psychology involved. It's like they've figured out how to make us crave it.
Yeah, that's a good
Like
one.
they've cracked the code.
Okay, so let's start with the obvious one. Convenience. Our lives are so hectic, right? Always running around. Fast food just fits in, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You're in a hurry, bam, there's a drive-through.
Totally.
Yeah.
But like you said, is it just convenience? I don't think so. I mean, if that were the whole story, wouldn't we all just be grabbing like salads from the grocery store or something?
Yeah, right.
But fast food, it's more than that. For a lot of people, it's genuinely the cheapest way to get a meal,
Yeah,
especially if you're on tight budget.
absolutely. And then on top of that, there's the whole marketing thing.
Right.
The bright colors and those catchy jingles, remember those?
Oh, yeah.
They get stuck in your head, don't they?
Oh, for sure. And, the podcast episode, they talk about something called sonic branding.
Sonic branding.
Yeah, it's basically using music to make a brand stick in your mind. And they say those jingles actually trigger something in your brain, like a dopamine release.
Really?
Yeah. So basically,
Yeah.
we hear the jingle and our brain's like, ooh, give me that food.
It's like they're hacking our brains.
Kinda, yeah.
I mean, come on, you see those golden arches, and what do you think of?
A Big Mac for sure.
Exactly. It's powerful stuff, and you see them everywhere.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you travel to all these different countries and boom, there they are.
It's like it's become a global icon, the symbol for fast food, you know?
I know, it's crazy.
But, we can't ignore the other side of this.
Yeah,
All those cravings, they come at a price.
that's true.
The health impacts of eating a lot of fast food, they're real. All those calories, the sugar, the fat, it's all linked to some serious health problems. In fact, in that Fluent English Vibes episode, they talked about a study that found a link between eating fast food a lot and a higher risk of heart disease.
That makes sense. I mean, look at the U.S., we have some of the highest obesity rates in the world.
That's true.
And while fast food isn't the only reason, it definitely plays a part,
Yeah, it's a tough situation. Fast food is everywhere, and it's so heavily marketed.
For sure.
Although I will say, a lot of chains now are offering healthier options. Like you can get salads, grilled chicken. They're trying to appeal to the health-conscious crowd, I guess.
I think so, yeah. It's like they're recognizing that people are more aware of the health risks now.
Maybe.
But it also makes you wonder, is it a genuine effort to make their food better for us? Or is it just a way to make us feel less guilty about eating there?
I know, right?
It's kind of like, oh, I'll get the salad, but also have those fries and a milkshake just to balance it out.
Exactly.
So maybe it's a little bit of both.
I think you're right. It all comes down to personal responsibility, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Like, a salad is only healthy if you don't pile on the dressing and then add a milkshake on the side.
Yeah, exactly. Moderation is key, right?
Exactly. And speaking of choices, get ready for a trip around the world. Because American fast food, it's gone global. McDonald's, KFC, Starbucks, they're everywhere.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's pretty fascinating, though, how these brands have adapted to different cultures and tastes. It's not just about translating the menu. They actually change things up to fit in, which I think is really smart.
Yeah, like McDonald's, for example. They opened their first restaurant back in 1940, right? And now they've got over 39,000 locations around the world. That's insane.
That's incredible.
They've had to get creative with their menu to appeal to everyone.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like in Japan, they've got teriyaki burgers at McDonald's.
Yeah.
And you go to India, where a lot of people don't eat beef for religious reasons, they've got a McSpicy paneer burger.
Wow. It's like they're using food to connect with different cultures. Culinary diplomacy or something.
Totally. They're taking these iconic American brands and giving them a local twist.
Yeah.
And I think it works. It shows they're paying attention to the culture,
It makes you think, like, how much of our own fast food experience is shaped by American culture, even if we don't realize it?
That's a good question. I guess we're so used to it here, it's just normal.
Mm-hmm.
But for people from other countries, it must seem really different.
The podcast episode talked about how words like Drive-through and combo meal have become part of our everyday language. It's
Ugh.
like fast food has its own dialect.
That's a good point. Language and culture are totally connected.
Right.
And the fact that we use those terms all the time just shows how much fast food is part of our society. It's not just about the food, it's the whole experience.
Yeah. And those words can be powerful. Remember how supersize used to be this big thing?
Yeah, like get more for your money.
Exactly. Even though it usually just meant more calories and bigger portions.
Right. It's all about how they make it sound.
Yeah.
Fast food companies are good at using language to make their food seem even more tempting,
Yeah.
even if it's not the best thing for us.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot here. Convenience, how cheap it is, the marketing, how global it's become, but also the health concerns.
Yeah,
It's a lot to think about. So what does this all mean for us? Like, how do we navigate this world of burgers and fries and everything else?
it's a good question. I mean, fast food's a part of our culture. It's hard to completely avoid it.
So how do we enjoy it without going overboard?
I think it starts with being aware,
Yeah.
understanding how it works, why we crave it, the health risks. Once we know all that, it's easier to make better choices.
So it's not about saying no to fast food forever. It's more about being mindful about it.
Exactly. Finding a balance. You can enjoy the convenience and treat yourself sometimes, but also take care of your health and make choices that fit with what you believe in.
And it's cool to see that the fast food scene itself is changing. It's not just burgers and fries anymore.
Oh, yeah. There are so many new options popping up. You've got those fast casual places, different ethnic
Oh, it's
cuisines.
crazy.
It's exciting.
Like fast food is evolving right in front of us.
It really is. And it's not just what's on the menu that's different. The whole way it's marketed is changing too. Think about all those food delivery apps now.
Oh, yeah. You can get anything delivered right to your door now.
It's so easy.
Super convenient. But I do wonder, with all this convenience and choice, does it change our relationship with food? Like, will anyone cook anymore?
That's interesting. I mean, I think it's important to still have that connection to cooking. It's a skill, and it's satisfying to make something yourself. But at the same time, it's great to have options.
And let's be real, cooking at home can be healthier.
Oh, for sure.
You control the ingredients, the portions.
Absolutely. And it can be really enjoyable too. Like it's a chance to step away from your phone and really connect with what you're eating.
Yeah. So it's not about saying fast food is bad.
Right.
It's about knowing its place in our lives and making choices that feel right for us. Sometimes a burger is exactly what you need, but other times cooking at home might be better.
I completely agree. It's about being intentional with our choices,
Mhm.
whether we're going for convenience or taking the time to nourish ourselves with a homemade meal.
You know, something that really hit me in that Fluent English Vibes episode was how they talked about fast food being more than just food in America. It's like a symbol of something.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Like it's tied to affordability, to being American, to our shared experience in a way.
Right.
Think about all those movies about road trips.
Oh, yeah.
People always stop at a diner or a drive-through. It's like a classic American thing to do.
It totally is.
Mhm.
And it's interesting how that translates to other countries.
Mhm.
Like when American fast food goes global, it's sometimes seen as a sign of, globalization, westernization.
But we're also seeing fast food chains from other countries coming to the U.S. now.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Like Jollibee.
Jollibee.
It's from the Philippines.
Oh, cool.
And Nando's.
Yeah.
That's a South African chicken place. They're bringing new flavors and ideas to the American fast food scene, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like a food exchange program, different cultures sharing their food and traditions through fast food.
I love that. It's a great way to think about it. And,
Mhm.
as the world becomes more connected, it's interesting to see all these different food cultures blending and changing.
So, what do you think about the future of fast food? Where is it all going? More changes, more variety.
I think it has to change, People are looking for healthier options, more sustainable practices. They want to know where their food comes from. Fast food companies are going to have to adapt if they want to keep up.
It's like we're at a turning point. Fast food could become more aligned with what we care about.
I think so. And that's a good thing, right? I'm optimistic about it. I think we'll see more plant-based options, more local ingredients, and a bigger focus on quality over quantity.
That's a pretty hopeful view. It makes me think about how fast food could actually be a positive force, for us and for our culture.
Definitely. I think it has the potential to be a platform for food innovation, cultural exchange, even social change. It all depends on what we do with it.
So as we wrap up this look at fast food, what's the main thing you want our listeners to take away from all of this?
I'd say the most important thing to remember is that fast food is more than just, fast food. It's a reflection of our culture, our values, how we think about food.
It's a complicated topic. There are good and bad sides to it. And in the end, it's up to each person to decide how they want to fit it into their life.
Exactly. There's no right or wrong answer. The key is to be informed, make choices you feel good about, and enjoy the journey.
Well said. Now, before we wrap up entirely, I want to take a moment to appreciate all the insights we've uncovered during this deep dive. It's been fascinating.
It really has. We've looked at the history, the psychology, the global reach, and even the future of fast food. I think we've gained a much deeper understanding of this phenomenon.
I agree, and we did it all without even saying supersize once.
That's win in my book.
All right, everyone, that's our deep dive into fast food culture. We hope you enjoyed it and learned some interesting things along the way.
And remember, whether you're a huge fast food fan or you prefer to cook at home, the most important thing is to enjoy the experience and eat food that makes you happy.
Until next time, stay curious and eat well.
Bon appétit.
It really feels like the whole idea of fast food is changing right in front of us.
Yeah, it is. And it's not just the food either. It's how it's marketed too.
What do you mean?
Well, like all those food delivery apps.
Oh, yeah.
They've made it even easier to get fast food.
True. Like ridiculously easy.
You can just order whatever you want and boom, it arrives at your door.
Exactly. I mean, you can get a burger from one place, tacos from another, even boba tea all at the same time.
I know, it's amazing. You just use your phone and a few taps and you're done.
It's definitely convenient, but it kind of makes you think, right? Like, with all this choice and instant delivery, what happens to our cooking skills?
That's a good point. I mean, it's great to have options, but there's also something to be said for cooking a meal yourself from scratch. Satisfying.
Yeah, and sometimes, honestly, cooking at home is just healthier.
Oh, absolutely.
You know exactly what you're putting in your food, and you can control how much you eat.
Exactly. And cooking can be fun too.
Yeah.
It's a good way to unwind, get away from screens for a bit, and connect with your food.
So it's not about hating on fast food.
No, not at all.
It's about finding that balance.
Recognizing how it fits into our lives.
Sometimes you just need a quick burger.
Yeah.
But
That's it.
other times it might be better to make something at home.
I think it all comes down to making conscious choices.
Being intentional.
Yeah, about your food.
That makes sense. You know, one thing that really stuck with me from the Fluent English Vibes episode was how they talked about the cultural side of fast food in America.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, it's not just about the food itself, but what it represents.
That's true. I mean, fast food is often tied to ideas like affordability and accessibility.
And it's a part of our shared experience as Americans.
Think about all those classic road trip movies.
Yes.
Where the characters always stop at a diner or a drive-thru.
It's like a ritual, a way of connecting with American culture.
Exactly. It's interesting, though, how that idea translates globally.
What do you mean?
Well, as American fast food has spread to other countries, it's often been seen as a symbol of globalization and even westernization.
Makes you...
Yeah. And at the same time, though, we're also seeing fast food chains from other parts of the world coming to the U.S. now.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Like Jollibee, it's from the Philippines.
I've heard of that.
And Nando's, that's a South African chicken restaurant. They're bringing new flavors and cultural influences to the American fast food scene, which is pretty cool.
Oh, it's interesting.
It's like a culinary exchange.
Yeah.
Different cultures sharing their food and traditions through fast food.
I like that.
It shows how food can connect people from different backgrounds.
Speaking of change, what do you think the future holds for fast food?
Well, I think we'll see even more innovation and diversification.
What makes you say that?
Well, consumers are demanding healthier options, more sustainable practices, more transparency.
Right.
Fast food companies will have to adapt to those changing preferences if they want to stay relevant.
It's like we're at this crossroads.
Where fast food could actually become more mindful and aligned with our values.
That's an interesting thought. I like that.
Yeah. I'm optimistic about the future of fast food. I think we'll see more plant-based options, more locally sourced ingredients, a greater emphasis on quality over quantity.
That would be great.
I think so too.
It makes me think about how fast food could become a more positive force in our lives, both individually and culturally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It has the potential to be a platform for culinary innovation, cultural exchange, and even social change.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of fast food, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away?
That's a good question. I think the biggest takeaway is that fast food is more than just a quick bite to eat. It's a reflection of our culture, our values, and our evolving relationship with food.
It's a really complex and multifaceted topic
Definitely.
with both positive and negative aspects.
For sure.
And ultimately, it's up to each individual to decide how fast food fits into their own life.
Yeah, there's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Right.
The key is to be informed, make conscious choices, and, enjoy the ride.
Well said. Now, before we sign off, I want to reflect on all the amazing things we've talked about during this deep dive.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating journey, hasn't it?
It really has.
We've explored the history, the psychology, the global reach, and the future of fast food.
And we've come away with a deeper understanding of this cultural phenomenon.
Sure.
And we did it all without even saying supersize once.
That's a win in my book.
All right, everyone. That's it for our deep dive into fast food culture.
We hope you enjoyed it.
And learned some interesting things along the way.
And remember, whether you're a fast food fanatic or a home cooking enthusiast, the most important thing is to savor the experience and nourish yourself with food that brings you joy.
Until next time, happy eating. All this talk about fast food, it's making me think about my own experiences with it.
Oh, yeah?
Like, I remember when I was a kid, going on road trips and we'd always stop at McDonald's.
Oh, yeah, those are the days.
Getting Happy Meals and just feeling like I was part of something.
I get that. Those childhood memories, they stick with you. Fast food can be really nostalgic.
It's true. And as I've gotten older, my relationship with fast food has definitely changed. I'm definitely more aware of the health side of things now, and I'm more picky about where I eat.
Yeah.
But I still find myself craving those familiar flavors sometimes.
I think that's something a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah.
It's like a guilty pleasure,
Yeah.
right? We know it's not always the best choice,
Right.
but there's something so comforting and satisfying about it.
It's true. And let's be real, sometimes it's just convenient.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Life gets busy and sometimes you just need a quick and easy meal.
For sure.
But I think, like we've been talking about, it's about finding that balance
Right,
and
yeah.
making those choices consciously.
Yeah, exactly. It's about having a healthy relationship with fast food,
Yeah,
understanding its place in our lives, and making informed decisions.
exactly. Speaking of decisions, something else that's been on my mind is the ethical side of fast food. Like all the discussions about labor practices, animal welfare, sustainability.
Right. Those are really important things to consider.
As people become more aware of these issues, I think it puts pressure on fast food companies to do better,
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
be
like-
more ethical and sustainable.
Yeah.
The Fluent English Vibes episode touched on this too.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they talked about how some chains are starting to source their ingredients more responsibly and try to reduce their environmental impact.
I think that's great.
Yeah, it's a good sign.
And as consumers, we have the power to support those companies that are making positive changes.
Yeah. So it's not just about what we eat.
Yeah,
It's also about where our food comes from and how it's produced.
It's about the whole picture.
It's true.
Yeah.
Food choices are complicated.
You really are.
There's a lot to think about.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think it's about making choices that align with our values.
And choices that contribute to a more sustainable and equitable food system.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We really have.
From marketing psychology to the global impact of fast food, it's been a really interesting journey.
It has. And hopefully it's given our listeners a new perspective on fast food and its role in our lives.
I hope so. Before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Okay.
As we navigate this world of fast food and all the choices that come with it, let's remember to savor the experience, make choices we feel good about, and nourish ourselves with food that brings us joy.
And let's keep asking questions and challenging the way things are when it comes to our food.
Yes. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into fast food culture. Until next time, stay curious and eat well.
Bon appetit.